Welcome to Impact 2025, our continuing conversation where we talk about all different types of topics from race, religion, current events, everything like that. And as always, we invite you to join in on this conversation. This is an opportunity for you to type in your questions and your comments into the comment section, whether it be Facebook or YouTube or however you're watching, so that you can participate. If you see something that you want to say, or if there is something that you want to say, go ahead and feel free to type it into the comment section. If there's something that you agree with, go ahead and type it in the comment section. Something you disagree with, again, type it into the comment section. And make sure that you have your voice heard. This is a conversation. So you just don't want to listen to me. You want to be able to say the things that you want to say, ask the questions that you want to ask, have your opinions presented. This is not the only offering that we have here. This is Amani Christian Ministries. And we also have on Thursdays at 7 o'clock, we have Thursday Thirst, which is a weekly Bible study. Please feel free to join us on that. It's very good diving into the Bible and getting into the Word. On Sundays at 10 o'clock, we have worship service. This Sunday, we have a worship service, which will be combined with multiple churches, so a really good experience. Please join us online or in person, as you see the address on the screen if you're in the area. But yes, it's available on Facebook and YouTube at 10 o'clock. And also at 7 on Tuesdays, today, we have prayer from 7 to 7:45. That's a time when everyone in the ministry prays together. Separately, individually, everybody can put up their prayers, but we're all praying together. Not from the whole time of 7 to 7:45, unless you want to, but sometime in between that time period. And then, of course, what we have right now is Impact 2025, our continuing conversation. So please join us for one or all of those offerings. Your participation is greatly appreciated. What we do here, as you know, is we have our conversation. And as always, kind of tee it up a little bit so that you can know what we're discussing and then kind of hits it there. And so we're doing more current events. And the current event is, if you haven't seen it, the big story right now is a security leak, if that's what you want to call it. There were some defense people, some national security people communicating with one another. These are high level defense and national intelligence persons who were communicating with one another. And they were communicating with one another through text messages, through phones, and they had an app on the phone that's supposed to be keeping it secure. And so you're talking about the Secretary of Defense, you're talking about the leader of the National Intelligence Agency, and some others. And what occurred was they were talking about warplanes. They were looking to attack a country. And they had listed some people that they were going to kill, how they were going to attack this country, what method they were going to use to put out these actions. And they included a reporter. They just happened to add a reporter into the group text or the group email. I mean, the group the group text or the group. I guess that's the best way to say it because it was through an app, but it's a group text, a group chat. And so it was a big security breach because that reporter was not supposed to be a part of this conversation. The reporter stated that he thought it was actually, that they thought it was actually a hoax until they saw the next day that the country was actually bombed and that the things that were said in the text in the group chat came true. So you got a bunch of people who are saying, all right, this is terrible. Some folk need to be fired. And then there's other people who are like, well, it's okay. Secretary of Defense, head of our national securities, a bunch of different folks. It's a major hiccup. Not only did they add somebody in who wasn't supposed to get that information, but they're saying if they're able to add people in and they're doing war plans over the text messages, those people's phones are something that can be attacked and easily attacked, and they are constantly being attacked by foreign nations and hackers and whatnot. And so it's a big hiccup, a big, real bad thing. And so now we have a lot of big bad things that happen to people in leadership all the time. But for some reason, why are we as people more forgiving to leaders when they make mistakes than we are to one another when they make mistakes? I'll give you another example. So I just talked about what we're having with the Department of Defense. Nobody's been fired. Nobody's been really just, the president said, the current president said, this person made a mistake. This is a good person, a good man. And that was what was said. And so, as people, we generally look at it and we'll be like, oh, they made a mistake. When you look at celebrities, a lot of celebrities, they get in trouble and they make mistakes. And what do we do as people? We kind of breeze past it. They do some crazy stuff. Celebrities will still go to their movies. We'll still support them. Their fans will always be like, oh, no, just let them be. There was a couple of years back, probably about a decade ago now, there was the governor of South Carolina went out and embezzled money. Took money. He took the money from the government, disappeared, paid for a trip with his, not with his wife, but with a woman that he was in a relationship with that was not his wife. Went out of the country, and it was all paid for on the government's money in South Carolina. And so everybody was upset. It was the end of his term, did not get reelected. But then a couple of years later, they decided, hey, let's elect him to be a member of the House, of the United States House. And so that occurred. And you could probably think of numerous other occasions where somebody who is a leader, a celebrity, you have it in head of organizations, businesses, churches, whatever. We have leadership who make mistakes, leadership who do not even make mistakes, leadership who intentionally do things that are bad or wrong. And we are very forgiving, which is great in a sense. But the question is, why are we so forgiving to leadership? But then we'll have somebody like our next door neighbor just say something to us wrong. You'd be like, they're dead to me. I'm done with them forever. So for leaders, people who we hold in high regard, we can find our ways to forgive. But the person who is next to us, our friend, our classmate, our co-worker, our brother or sister or cousin, oh man, they mess up and we're not going to talk to them for a whole decade. Or we're just so mad. But yet the people who we barely know, the leaders, or even if you know them a little bit, people you barely know, we want to be so forgiving to the leadership. And so am I saying, oh, we shouldn't be forgiving to the leaders? No. But my question is, why are we more forgiving to the leaders than we are to the people that we see every day? Or the people who are closer to us? Or the people who are like us? Why do we hold sometimes? And if you disagree, you can say, hey, look, I think we hold people the same way, or we hold our leaders to a higher standard. I don't think so. I don't think so. We have a president right now who is convicted multiple times of multiple felonies. We have a president right now who has shown himself to be time after time doing foolish things. And he won re-election. People are forgiving and they let things go when it becomes leaders. And those same actions would not be tolerated if it was your peer. So let me hit some comments while we're right there. When Hillary Clinton did something similar, they threatened to lock her up. Double standard. It is not forgiveness; it's a double standard. Absolutely. And that's another thing. It is based on who you like and who you don't like. Absolutely, that is. And so when we're looking at politicians and leaders and things like that, you're definitely looking at who you like and who you don't like. But I think that's a thing that we have to look at, not only as we have this conversation, not looking at others outside, but actually looking at ourselves. I have to sit back and I have to examine myself. And I'm like, okay, let me think. Okay. Now, if my favorite actor, not my favorite actor, but let's say an actor who we all respect. Oh, I give you a good Will Smith. He goes out and he does something extremely crazy. As we all know, Will Smith went out and he smacked Chris Rock. And, for the most part, a lot of people were upset. A lot of people, it was very bad, a very bad situation. But from what I see, and for the most part, people have forgiven. Didn't go to jail. Maybe people, I don't know his last movie. I know the movie that he had right after that happened, and it wasn't like the biggest hit. Like people didn't really go see it. But it hasn't been a situation of where we're done with you forever. It's over. Most people either that I've talked to, and I got just talk to me, talk about me. Most people I've talked to either are like, "Hey, he did it. That wasn't great. Whatever," or they're basically like, "Forgive and forget." Yeah, I haven't talked to too many folk who are like, "I'm done with him. Like he's horrible." Like, you don't hear that. But what if somebody smacked you? What if one of your friends smacked you? Or what if two of your friends smacked each other? Do you pick a side and then you're like, I'm done with them forever? And I would say most of us, because we know the person or because they're closest to us or because they're similar to us, most of us are going to be like, I'm done with them. Or, we're gonna take it to another level. When I say take it to another level, there's gonna be it's gonna turn into a big thing. Whereas the Chris Rock thing, I mean, it turned into a thing, but it wasn't like charges were filed, nobody went to jail, nothing crazy like that. But yet, when we talking about one another, when we're talking about two common folk, not nobody who's a leader, nobody who's a business owner, nobody who's or big time business owner. But we're talking about peers, people to people. Why do we treat each other so much harsher? And it could be, like the Bible basically is stating that, how do you love God who you can't see, and you the brother that you see every day, you're not loving. Is it easier to forgive these people because we don't know them, because we can't touch them, because they're not close to us, and we're just harder on people that we see every day? The Bible states it like that, in the sense of, how we need to be able to love the people that we see every day. But why are we tougher on the folk that are just like us? Is it because they're just like us? Why are we tougher on our family than we are on, again, the leaders? Why are we so forgiving of those who may have done much worse to many more people? We're forgiving to the people who are far, but the people who are closest to us, why is it so hard for us to forgive them? Good comment. Isn't it great that we can fall short, mess up, do the wrong thing, and God just says, and God doesn't say, wait, do the wrong thing. God just says, I'm done with you. Isn't it great that he doesn't say that? Yeah, absolutely. God treats us kind of like we treat celebrities. God doesn't say, I'm done with you. He's super forgiving. Yet we treat one another, I think, too harshly. Yeah, I think it's really good that, and so it's really funny. It's the funny part is we talk about how hard forgiveness is, but yet when it comes to leadership or people that we revere, we're always able to forgive them. So I guess forgiveness isn't as hard as we say it is. It's just that it's harder when it hits closer to home. And I think as much as like right now, we have some very bad leadership throughout this country. Not just in Washington, not just when we're talking about, political leaders or things like that. We have just a very, very bad leadership in a lot of different pockets and places. Some great leaders, but there's a lot of bad ones out there too. And we oftentimes, again, we let things slide and we let things go. And I think that we have to be able to forgive and work on forgiveness with these leaders. But we also need to start with, I think, working on forgiveness with one another. And so that's I think that's the weird catch-22 that we have going on. That's the weird part. Why is it so hard for us to forgive people who are so close to us? Why is it so hard for us to forgive one another? And the comment, most of us want forgiveness when we mess up, yet we don't easily forgive others. Yeah, that's a good point. We always want forgiveness and mercy, but we don't always necessarily want to give it. And I think especially in a time right now. And so that goes into the second part of kind of this forgiveness thing. So online, as we try to bring up some current events every once in a while, online there's this thing going on where you have a lot of Hispanic people or some Hispanic people who are coming online and basically are venting that they feel like Black people don't have their back in this new climate right now. Because a lot of people are getting deported, family members are getting deported, even not even being deported, but people who are here legally have now had their green cards or their visas revoked. And so now they're here illegally. So one day you're here legally, the next day, boom, you're here illegally. People who have come here to get asylum, and for anyone who doesn't know, asylum just come here to basically seek safety from whatever country or place that they were coming from because they were being persecuted. So if come here for that, you're not legal or illegal at that point, but they'll have court dates set up in the future. Instead of ever making it to their court date, they're getting rounded up and deported. And a lot of these people are of Hispanic heritage. And so the thing online is that some Hispanic folk have been saying, why do Black people not have our back? Black people are not out here complaining about this. They don't really have our back. What's going on? How come you don't have our back? And then you had some responses from some Black people who were saying, hey, in November, when we were sitting back here telling you that this guy was this and this and this, as a group, Hispanics, y'all didn't have our back. Y'all decided that y'all wanted to go with, this political climate, which is a weird conversation. And this is not an isolated conversation. This happened throughout the internet now. It's not a huge, big deal. But that conversation has been going on, where Hispanic people are like, how come y'all why come y'all currently don't have our back? And in this bad time when people are being rounded up, even with their legal citizens are being rounded up and being questioned about whether or not you're legal citizens. In the Hispanic communities, a lot of Hispanic communities or Hispanic people, you're under a world or a bubble of stress because you're under attack. And so where are the Black people? Where's the outrage? Where's Al Sharpton and them having our back? And and Black people are like, hey man, you ain't have our back. You messed up. And so, instead of just riding with you or forgiving you, you messed up. Now let's go ahead and work together and have your back. It's just like you messed up and you reap what you sow, you good. And so that's the conversation going on. And is that right or is that wrong? Many Black people, particularly Black leadership, told other minorities not to vote for the current administration. Yeah, I think that's a lot of the conversation of you reap what you sow. But I'll say this. I brought this up because you may hear it and you may not hear it. But I brought this up because I do want to say this. Let's not get fooled. Let's not get suckered, and let's not get played. At the end of the day, yeah, there are some facts here that there was a higher number of Hispanic people who voted for this current administration. And yeah, they kind of reap what they sow. But don't let them play us, or they're trying to divide us or trying to have us attack each other. Because at the end of the day, the Hispanic people who are being harassed and deported are just living the same life that Black people have been living all along. Whether we are legally here or not. Black Haitians who are here legally, a lot of them just had their legal status revoked. And so just like people are coming after Hispanic, they're also coming after people with black skin, whether they're Afro, Latino, or Hispanic, or whatever. And so don't let them divide us. We all in the same boat. And so, yes, in a sense, there are a bunch of us sitting back here laughing, saying, man, you fools. You should not have, you voted against your own interests. You knew what he did the first time. Why would you do it again? But at the same time, you're not dividing us, making us, pitting us against each other, because it's the same thing. And they, the administration, Donald Trump, all of them see us the same way. Brown skin, black skin people. We not them. And so as much as there may be a little bit of, yeah, that was foolish what you did. It's foolish that plenty of us did. Black males, plenty of us, our numbers were a little too high to be voting for some ignorance. And so we laughing at a little bit of at ourselves. But at the end of the day, we can't be divided on this. We need to be together. You don't let people separate you like that. And so I know that this is a topic, but now we can kind of laugh and joke in the fact that, yeah, some of this you brought on yourself, but we got to stay together. Hispanics must now recognize that they are the new N-words. They are. I've told this story plenty of times here, and I'll always tell it again. I knew this a couple of years back when the cops, I was standing outside, me and a friend, two black young, medium young black men at the time, standing outside, cops, in the not quite dark, but getting there, you know. Cops come by, they're driving slow, and we're like, oh, here you go. You know, we know what time it is, about to mess with us. Drove right past us so that they could go over to some Hispanic guys, same age, but just passed us to go to them. I was like, oh, things a little different now. And that's what it is. And so, yeah, that comment is very, very true. But we can't let them divide us, just people, period. Don't let them divide us and have us coming at each other. There is, racism is the enemy. And whoever is holding those cards of racism right now, that's truly the enemy. And so don't let us have us biting at each other when we need to stop these racist behaviors. All right. That's it. Kind of went through it quick. So, two quick things, just, as an acknowledgement, why do we forgive leaders better than or quicker than we forgive one another, then we forgive our peers, and we forgive our family? Let's forgive everybody at the same level, or let's forgive everybody at the same level that we can. Let's be forgiven. So the same kind of mercy that we give to those in leadership and who have power when they make a mistake, let's give that same level of mercy and forgiveness to people who are just like us. And then for the next part, hey, don't let them divide us. We got to stay together. And so as much as we may be a little bit irritated by one another, about how some people decided to vote, how some people decide to see themselves, thinking that they're better or different, we still can't let, for the greater good, don't let people divide us. We are, for the most part, on the same team. All right, well, that's it. That is it. Kind of went straight to it. Oh, another comment. Hispanics must now recognize. Wait, okay, I already did that one. Sorry. That's pretty much it. So I'll remind everyone. Thank you for coming. Remind everyone. Thursday again, Bible study 7:00 Eastern Standard Time, right here, Facebook and YouTube. Sundays 10 o'clock, Facebook, YouTube, and in person. And on Tuesdays at 7, we pray from 7 to 7:45, anytime in between there, praying as a group. And then, of course, at 8 every week, Impact 2025. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for everyone for being here. And again, please continue the conversation, consider the conversations, and bring that up with others. Sometimes you can get it here, and then you can talk about it with friends and family later on. All right. Thank you. Have a good one, and I will see you.